So a friend of ours, they sold their mom's house after a family death and they left about $15,000 on the table. The worst part? It was completely avoidable. I share that because I get questions like this one from Marcus in Atlanta. Weldon, we're in the middle of helping my parents downsize. My dad has dementia and my mom can't keep up with the house. My sister lives nearby, I'm across the country, and we're already fighting about what to keep and who's doing more work. On top of that, I have no idea if we're handling the financial side correctly. What are the biggest mistakes families make during this process, and how do we avoid them? Marcus, I love the question. The family conflict, that piece is real, but there are also financial and logistical mistakes that can cost you thousands. In most families, they don't see them coming. That $15,000 that I mentioned earlier, that was a timing mistake on the real estate sale. But I've seen families lose even more, $30,000, $50,000 on tax planning that they didn't even know about, or family dynamics that blew up the entire process. And as a project management professional who's guided hundreds of families through major life transitions, I've seen every version of this go wrong. Today, I'm going to give you the 5 most costly mistakes that families make during an actual downsizing process, and then how to avoid each one of them. So without further ado, let's get into it. And here's the first mistake, and it's the one that destroys family relationships. That is not coordinating with siblings early enough. I'm fortunate, my sister and I, we worked together through my mom's downsizing. We divided responsibilities, we communicated constantly, we made decisions together. But I've seen families absolutely implode over this process. And the arguments, they're over who gets what. Accusations about who's doing more work. Resentment about who is doing the decision-making and who's the decision-making authority. One sibling feeling like they're carrying all the burden while the other shows up to take valuable items. And here's the framework that I recommend. Before you start any physical sorting, have a family meeting. Virtual is fine too. Do whatever you have to do, especially if you're spread across the country. But you need to establish 3 things up front. First, who has decision-making authority? Is it one sibling? Is that the point person who can actually make the calls without checking with everyone? Or are there decisions made by committee where everyone weighs in? Pick one and stick with it. Committee is slower, but it feels more fair. Point person, that's faster, but requires more trust. Second, what's the distribution plan for valuables? This is where the fights happen. First come, first serve. Take turns choosing items, selling everything, and splitting proceeds evenly. Decide before anyone starts taking things home. And third, how are costs being split? Moving expenses, estate attorney fees, cleaning services, storage if you need it, repairs before selling. Will one sibling cover it all up front and then get reimbursed from the estate? Or are you splitting everything in real time? Get agreement on these 3 things up front, in writing if your family dynamic requires it, because once emotions run high and the exhaustion sets in, these conversations become 10 times harder, 100 times harder. I've seen siblings who were close their entire lives stop speaking over a piece of furniture. Don't let that be your family. A quick sidebar, if you're already dealing with family tension around this process, book a free 30-minute transition strategy call. Sometimes having that neutral third party helps everyone get on the same page. We're going to identify the challenges, separate the facts from fiction, validate the assumptions, and then create a coordinated plan that works for your specific situation. Link is in the caption below. All right, mistake number 2. And this is the one that costs $15,000. Mistake number 2 is that there are financial considerations to downsizing that most families completely miss. And these mistakes, they can cost tens of thousands of dollars. The $15,000 mistake that I mentioned at the beginning, well, when that family friend sold the parents' house, they were in crisis mode. The dad had just passed, the mom needed to move quickly, and they listed the house in late October, sold in November, closed in December. The problem, though, They sold in the worst possible season for their market. Late fall and winter in most markets, especially in colder climates, that means fewer buyers, less competition, lower prices. And if they had waited until spring, they probably would have gotten $10,000 to $15,000 more for that house. Now, in their situation, the trade-off was worth it. The mom needed stability more than she needed optimal pricing. But here's the point. The trade-off was made unconsciously. It was not made strategically. They didn't even realize that they were leaving money on the table until after it was done. But timing, it's not the only financial trap that we're going to talk about. First, there's the capital gains exclusion. If your parent sells the primary residence, they exclude $250,000 in profit from taxes if they're single, and then $500,000 if they're married filing jointly. But there's a catch. They have to have lived there for 2 of the last 5 years. If your mom moved out to live with you temporarily and you're selling the house 18 months later because she was just holding on, she might have lost that exclusion if you hit up to 24 months. That could mean a tax bill of $30,000 or more that you could have avoided with better timing. Second, if the house is held in a trust, there are specific rules about how it's sold and how proceeds are distributed. If your parent is incapacitated and the house wasn't properly set up in an estate documents, you might be looking at probate, which of course adds months to the timeline and thousands in legal fees. Third, Medicare implications. If your parents are on Medicare and suddenly they have a large capital gain from selling a house, their Medicare premiums, they can spike for 2 years. It's called IRMA, Income Related Monthly Adjusted Amount. And a CPA, they can help you plan around this, but only if you talk to them before you sell. The pattern, if you're picking up on it, is talk to the CPA and the estate attorney before you list the house, not after. Now, mistake number 3, choosing your parents' next home based on what they need today instead of what they'll need 5 years from now. When my mom moved to a smaller apartment, we made sure that it was within 15 minutes of where my sister lives. Not because mom needed daily help at that point, but because we knew that at some point she might. Now, here's the strategic thinking that most families, they just don't come across or they miss. Your parent might be independent and healthy today, but if they're in their 70s or 80s, there's a significant chance that in 5 years, they'll need more support. Where they move now, that should account for that future reality, because moving twice, nobody wants to do that. Questions you need to ask before choosing the next place. Is it single floor living? Are there stairs? Stairs that are manageable at 75, those become dangerous at 82. Is it near family who can check in regularly? The isolation, that accelerates cognitive decline in older adults. And if your parents, they're moving to a completely new area, how will they build social connections? How will you monitor their well-being from afar? Is it near medical facilities? What happens if health declines and they need frequent doctor visits or specialist care? Is public transportation available? Is that part of your equation? At some point, most elderly adults, they stop driving. If your parents can't drive and can't walk to basic services, they become completely dependent on others for every errand. Then I'd also ask myself, can the space accommodate a caregiver if needed later? Some apartments, they don't allow live-in caregivers. Some don't have room for one. We were fortunate and got this one right for my mom. The apartment was smaller, it was more manageable, it was near my sister, near her church, near her grocery store that she'd shopped at for years. She maintained her community while downsizing her space. Think 5 years ahead, not just today. The move you make now might be the last major move your parents make. Now, mistake number 4, that's trying to move and sort everything yourself instead of hiring help for the physical labor. I made this mistake. I thought, I'm capable, I can lift boxes, I can sort through a house, and physically, yes, I could. But the combination of physical exhaustion and emotional decision-making destroyed me. By day 3, I was making poor decisions because I was just exhausted going a million miles an hour. I was getting short with my mom, frustrated with my sister, overwhelmed by the sheer volume of stuff. Every box I opened felt like a test of my patience. And here's what nobody tells you. Your decision-making quality degrades significantly when you're physically exhausted. You're going to throw away things that you should keep. You'll keep things that you should throw away. You'll snap at family members over small things. You'll burn yourself out before the process is even halfway done. Here's what I should have done. I should have hired a moving company and an estate sale company from the very beginning, not to make decisions, those still need family member involvement, but to handle the physical execution. A good estate sale company, they can sort, price, sell, and donate items in days. They do this every single week. What would take us months or me throwing things away and lost opportunity takes them 3 days. A moving company, they're going to handle all the heavy lifting, the truck logistics, the physical labor, getting everything from point A to point B. You, as the adult child, you focus on the high-value work that only you can do. Emotional support for your parent, decisions about truly meaningful items, locating personal documents, coordinating with the professional team. Yes, this costs money. A few $1,000s most likely, depending on the size of the estate. But compared to the emotional toll of doing it yourself, compared to the mistakes that you're going to make from exhaustion, compared to the family tension that builds when everyone is burned out, it is money well spent. My recommendation is to protect your energy for only what you can do. Outsource the rest. Now, mistake number 5. Not knowing when to hire a professional transition strategist versus handling everything yourself. Here's the honest answer. If your parent's situation is straightforward, they're healthy, minimal estate complications, clear housing options, supportive family dynamics, you could probably handle it yourself. The framework I've shared in this video and the previous one, that'll get you through it. But if you're dealing with multiple complicating factors, that's when professional help pays for itself many times over. Complex situations include an estate worth over $500,000 with significant tax implications, trust structures that affect how property can be sold, a parent who is resistant and needs a neutral third party to facilitate conversations, family conflict that's already affecting decision-making, health issues that are declining rapidly and creating urgency, geographic distance that makes coordination difficult. I guide families through this process as a project management professional and a certified financial coach. What I bring is coordination between all the moving pieces: estate attorneys, CPAs, certified financial planners, real estate execution, making sure that the life transition is addressed first, wealth is optimized, and then real estate happens third, and in that order. Most families, they skip the first 2 phases and wonder why the real estate piece goes so poorly. They call a realtor before they've ever talked to a CPA. They list the house before they understand the tax implications. They make decisions in crisis mode that cost them tens of thousands of dollars. If your situation involves significant assets, family complexity, or time pressure, those are the situations where professional guidance isn't an expense. It's actually a protection. But if your situation is simpler, these frameworks, they can guide you through it. Look, the downsizing process doesn't have to break your family or your finances, but it does require approaching it strategically, not reactively. And here's how I work with families. Successful transitions, they require 3 different teams for 3 different phases. Phase 1, that's life. That's where I come in as your strategist. We'll identify which transition that you are actually navigating, map out the challenges that you're likely to face, separate facts from fiction, identify the assumptions, and we create a plan to achieve your goal. This project management principle, we apply it to your life transition. Then we work on phase 2, which is wealth. Your CPA, your estate attorney, and the certified financial planner, they handle this phase. I'm not looking to take that over by any stretch, but I give you the questions and the concepts to explore with each of them because this should be a cohesive team with all those functions working together. I'm making sure that you show up prepared so you don't miss the financial considerations that could cost you thousands. Then phase 3 is real estate. When it's time to execute, whether you're in Colorado Springs or anywhere else in the country, I'll connect you with someone from my nationwide referral network who's tailor-made for your specific situation. What I recommend is for you to book a free transition strategy call. Look in the link below, and I will be glad to talk you through your situation. I'm Weldon Hobbs. I'm a transition strategist and real estate professional based in Colorado Springs, but I work with families nationwide. I'm a project management professional, a certified financial coach, a 20-year veteran of the Air Force. My wife and I both went to the Air Force Academy, and I bring that military leadership and strategic framework for making decisions to you to help you navigate major life transitions, because those decisions, they are too important to handle without a plan. If this video helped you, hit that like and subscribe button. And if you haven't watched the first video in this series, the 5 things you need to know before you start to downsize, go watch that next. The preparation phase is just as critical as the execution phase, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.